And we're live. Hello. How we doing?
Fab, how are you?
Flat out like a lizard drinking. That's a very
Outstanding.
outback
Outstanding.
Australian phrase. But welcome to the Business Octopus. Talk about all things. I normally go through sales, marketing, technology, but it's evolving a lot around mostly around community stuff. But today we're going to be talking about in-person event and communities and how they're pretty much, I think, the way forward um, in terms of the world in AI in which we live, where constantly people are getting automated and people are fearful of their jobs and what prospects lie ahead. The network and the people around you have never been more important. And being online, who knows what's real anymore? Things are looking more and more realistic every day. So you can't fake real connections. Maybe we're all in the matrix. Maybe we're fake here. Who
Maybe.
knows? But I'm
Maybe.
ugly enough to look real. So here I am. So yeah, what's been going on in the community lately?
Oh, so much, Aben. And this is kind of what sparked this topic. We've got so many in-person events happening, and we're getting such incredible feedback. And it's one of those things where we were talking about this earlier. I think a lot of networking groups that were sort of around pre-pandemic, pandemic happened, and they're like, oh my goodness, what, we're never going to meet in person again. This is fabulous. I can just sit in my office and network and make these connections. But I think what everyone is finding, it's just not the same. You don't get the same cross-pollination. It's not the same energy. And I think based on what we're seeing, Aben, people are moving back out into the wild and into in-person events. Is that your experience?
Well, yeah, exactly that. I was in a networking group that had 200 people in a room every Monday night. And then there was a Wednesday night as well. So it was actually twice a week for the same thing. And so you had like the open group with everybody on the Monday. And then you had like the power group that drove the whole thing forward, which was about 60 or 70 people
Got
on
it.
a Wednesday night. So 2 nights a week, I would drive across, half an hour each way. Sometimes like on a motorbike in winter would turn up without fail every single week. And this group was quite great. Like I would say 80% of my business when I first got started, because I moved to Brisbane, I didn't know anyone. I had to start from scratch. And getting in there, I very quickly had quite a large network. And then from there, I was able to go from, starting afresh to what is now a 30-person company. So networking has always been incredibly valuable for me. But the thing that killed it for me with that group was that after COVID lockdowns, they went online. Everybody did. No worries, we get that. And you'd have 100 people on the Zoom, and then they hit limitations, so they had to upgrade the Zoom so they could get past 100 because you couldn't get more than 100 and Zoom exploded, right? Its valuation went off the charts.
Right.
But afterwards, after the doors opened up and everybody was allowed back in, nothing happened. Everybody just stayed online because it was convenient. And now we started to get people from this region and that region, and that's good. Like, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, but they never made any attempt to go back face to face. And I think that's
Interesting.
what killed them, because when I left, they had 12 people. So 200 down to 12 over
Wow.
a 12-month period.
Interesting. Interesting. And same sort of thing. I know coaches and consultants that drank the online Kool-Aid, if you like, and they're like, oh, our business model is going to stay online. And they were losing clients because they're like, no, we want to do in-person events again. And you're not offering that. So we're going to go to the other guy that's offering in-person events. So now these people that preached, I'm not going in person again, are running back to back to back in-person events, and they're filling rooms because that's what the market is asking for. It's fascinating.
Well, you infinitely increase your competition. Like if you are online, now your total option pool is 8 million people. And of that, 1% might be in business, then 1% of that might be English speaking. That's still a hell of a lot of people. Whereas if you're in Brisbane, for example, where we are, then you have maybe 2.5 million people population just in the city. Obviously, there's some outskirts as well,
Yeah.
but just 1% of that would be in business, all of which speak English. But then the number is so much smaller, and then the interest group within that, and then the the size and quality would be another sort of level again. So you can narrow it down and still be successful because you're shooting in a much smaller barrel, if you will.
Exactly. And then I think something you're doing, Avon, which is very exciting, is you can take the same community format to other locations. So you're actually having a meetup in the US this month, which is super exciting.
Well, yeah. So and I'm losing track of all the locations now. So I've had to make a list. Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Toowoomba. We've done it in Chandigarh. We've done it in Vietnam. We've done it in, we're about to do it in the US. We've done it, we tried to do it in Thailand, but there was a timing issue. But basically, yes, anywhere where we are online with some potency or some level of volume of people, then we are also trying to be there physically. And I know that's not necessarily accessible or doable for everybody, but we're in a world where we're so connected, more so than we've ever been, which then means there's a lot more people, a lot more competition, as I mentioned earlier. So how do you stand out? Is you rock up in person.
Exactly. And on that note, I wanted to talk about, I guess, to illustrate our point, the magic of these in-person events. There was a very particular incident, shall we say, that happened at our Toowoomba meetup, which just illustrates our point beautifully. Avon, I'll let you tell it. This is your story.
So basically, we started the event saying this is not the place to pitch. This is not the place to jump down people's throat. I think it was said about 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
And we get to a point, and I'm trying to start the conversation, but we give room for people to speak. You go to most events, and most of online events are like this as well, where only one person can speak at a time. And so what I was trying to do is encourage the types of conversations that we want people to have. And so I asked, who's got a challenge or an issue or a roadblock? And then we asked around, has anybody got any ideas or things that we can do to help that person? And one person jumps down and goes, I do this. This is what I do. I can help you. I'll do this, and this, which was very direct and pitchy. And I kind of just said, oh, well, hold on. Let's just take a pause. Let's zoom out a second and ask a question, and then find out what is really going on behind the scenes, but also offer some general advice, not advice, but ideas that are more neutral, not jumping down their throat to sell. Anyway, this person was taken aback by it and did something spiteful towards the end. And that aside, everybody else was saying, did she not listen to the brief at the start? And obviously this person doesn't get it. So straight away they were alienated, and everybody else went, wow, we kind of bonded over the fact that we get it and this person really doesn't. And we like that we want the nice event where we can, be altruistically helpful and let people choose to come to you instead of buy now and get a free set of steak knives, that really hard sell. No one likes that. No one likes being pitched to.
No.
And in those, and in those one-to-one, corporate networking kind of style, or traditional networking style, where people only get one time, 40 seconds to speak, you're forced to give your pitch, and it feels so artificial. Everyone's wearing this artificial sales shroud. It's not their true personality. What happens when you actually get to know someone? You get past the pitch, you find out they're an idiot. You're going to work with them? Probably not.
Probs not, honestly. Probs not. And just to tack on to what Avon was saying, so in the room, so we all broke off and we started, this is where things got really noisy and the energy got really electric. We broke off and we just started talking amongst ourselves. I was having a conversation with Joel over here. We're having our conversation. And my ears picked up something that was going on over here. And it happened to be the lady that got pitched to at the table. And she's telling one of our other illustrious colleagues in the room that she worked with a particular type of client, and this was her challenge. I heard that I said, excuse me, Joel, darted across, and I said, I know exactly who you need to speak to. Now, if we hadn't have been in that environment where you can hear sort of the other conversations that are going on, all the excitement and all the energy in the room, that interaction would never have happened, and she wouldn't have been connected to the very specific skill set that she actually needed. So that's one of the magical things, if you like, of being in those in-person events. It's three-dimensional. When we're in a Zoom room, it's great, but it's one at a time. Even if you do breakout rooms, this breakout room isn't cross-pollinating with this one, and this one isn't with this one. So whereas if we're all in there together, that's where some really cool stuff can happen.
Well, another point that's in that you kind of mentioned, but just to call it out a bit more, is that if on the surface level, it looked like they needed this, but once you spent time to really understand and dig in, it was actually something else entirely. And there was some very specific rules around that. And I think that a lot of times when you go into these things with this, I've got to say my pitch, they've got to say their pitch, no one's actually listening, no one gets deeper. And so there could have been value for both of them, but both of them just bounce off each other because no one spent time listening long enough to go, hey. But then the other thing is, like it's a team effort. So you are listening, like I would be listening for you, you'd be listening for me, and somebody else is listening for 5 other people, and you'd have an aha moment because you go, normally this wouldn't come up, but I see that person out of the corner of my eye, and all of a sudden I go, oh yeah, hey, I just heard something that made me trigger. This would be a good conversation. And sometimes it's not always selling. Sometimes it's a supplier relationship, or it's that person knows the person that you want to speak to. I don't know them, but that person knows them. And if you didn't speak to me about this, then I wouldn't have known to introduce you to them, to introduce you to that person. I know it gets a bit messy here and a bit like hard to understand, but some of the best deals I've ever had have come through that kind of, this person to this person to this person.
I love it. Because we can't possibly know everyone we need to know through our like first level connections. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? We need to know all of the connections, or like we need our connections to know the connections to know the connections.
Yeah, and you need to have, ideally, you want to build a room full of super connectors, people that know a lot of people, or, instead of having, you don't need to speak to everyone. You mentioned the noise and excitement. Yeah, we had 17 people there, but same thing with the concept when I mentioned that we had the 200 people in the room. Of course, not everyone's going to stand up and give their 30-second pitch. Not everyone's going to have the opportunity to speak to everybody else, but you don't need to. People who know people who know people, and ideally, as I mentioned, there was that power group, is they would have a conversation with new guests and go, who are you? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to? Where do you want to get to? What kind of person are you looking to meet? And then they'll listen and they'll spend time just really asking, and then go, here's about 3 or 4 that I can introduce you to. I'll take you over here now. But the thing is, you need to make a habit of it. You can't just do a one and done, because maybe that week it's that intro, and then as they spend more time understanding you, they'll go, oh, actually, and then maybe get the feedback from the first one to go, close, but this wasn't right and that wasn't right. Okay, great. Now I know better. Here's somebody else that you need to meet, and then here's somebody else. And that should be 2-way. So like you should be trying to connect people. I always try to connect people to 3 others, or 2 or 3 others. Like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going for 3. If I get 1, great. If I get all 3, awesome. But ideally, it's an introduction of value for both. I've had introductions where people have introduced me because they want to get their mate a sale, not because I'm ready, not because it's good fit for me, not because I have a problem to solve, but because they're like, oh, if I do this for them, I meet my criteria with that person. And they've built social credit with them, but they've destroyed it with me.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a win-win. And sometimes it's not, this person could sell you that. That's a bad way to do it. It should be, this person can help you solve a problem, can give you information, can guide you in the right direction. I think that is way more valuable.
Absolutely. So you've got to see it as more of a long game. So a connection that you make today may not pay off immediately, or it may never pay off. That's the other thing, right? We got to be realistic about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I come back to, I've got a thing that happened, in the last day or two, that is a relationship from 8 years ago. So
Wow.
if you build a good enough relationship, then it's valuable almost forevermore. So, like my business partner, we knew each other 10 years ago and then found each other 5 years later. There's other people that I've known for 2 or 3 or 4 years who have gone out of the blue, just called me, hey, this happened and I thought of you. So what you're building is long-term investment capital. You're investing in the relationships and the people around you. And I think that's powerful.
Precisely. And that is the intent you should be entering into these environments with.
And that's one of the things we do in the Relevate community. We're very deliberate on building the culture around that. And in our face-to-face events, we're definitely doing that. I mean, we even do it in our online events where, as best we can, but we provide those opportunities because I think for us, online is about connecting the offline. So we have multiple face-to-face, and then we have the online as like the bridge between those to make the face-to-face network bigger. So if I know you're in a group over in that land and I'm in this land and we connect, then I can help join the dots between this land and that land. And now both of those independent spaces are bigger, like it's a bigger community because of it. But it only, like, you're spoiled for choice online. So you really only should be predominantly offline with the online to back it up and provide additional value and in between time and things like that. So check out the Relevate community, see what we're about. I think there's a lot in there. Even if you never join, just be aware of it and maybe start to figure out your own journey, because ultimately everyone should be a super connector in and of their own right. And if we can then bring super connectors together, well, hey, now we have a party.
Exactly.
I think that's pretty much a wrap.
Sure
did
is.
you have anything else to add?
Have an amazing day wherever you are on this fine planet of ours, and
stay classy.